and welcome to the webinar today on using Facebook to generate patients for your functional medicine practice. So what we're going to go through today is a strategy that is working now with Facebook, and we'll go through what people do that works, either doesn't work at all or marginally works, and these are some things that you may be doing that you're frustrated with. We're going to set forth what I lead patients. So a little about me. I am not a doctor. I'm a marketer, but I do own my own functional medicine clinic partnered up with a doctor in Texas. And so what we're talking about today are the same things that we use in our own clinic that makes it successful. So, and then I have functionalmedicinemarketing.com, and through that I help doctors generate leads through the process, some of which we're talking about and more for their practice. So what can you expect? We're going to talk about a very comprehensive Facebook marketing strategy that functional medicine doctors are using. We're not necessarily just talking in generalities. I'm going to outline the process. I'm going to go through a couple of examples, an overview. I wish I had more time to go through everything completely in depth, but what I'm going to give you is a process and a strategy that you can actually take out of this webinar and start implementing for yourself today. So if that sounds good, let's go ahead and dive in. Before we jump into the strategy, I want to start with mindset. And I know a couple of you that I see have been on webinars with me before, and you've probably heard this, but I think it's very important because when I talk to a lot of doctors, one of the concerns they have is they don't feel like they have the money or the budget for marketing. And the reason I'm doing this on Facebook today is because, one, Facebook is a strategy you can implement very quickly, and it doesn't require a big budget. There are some downsides to Facebook that we're going to talk about and challenges that need to be overcome. But with your mindset, what you want to think about your marketing is it's an investment. And your marketing dollars need to work for you, not become just a line item in a budget. We want a return for every marketing dollar you spend. So when we're talking about your mindset, it's very important to understand this is not just a budget, this is an investment. And then what are your goals? Until we know what your goals are, you'll never really know how much you need to spend on marketing and what strategy you need to use to reach your goals. So when I'm talking about goals, I'm talking about how much revenue are you looking for in 1 month, and in 1 year, in 1 quarter, whatever it is, in 1 week, in 1 day. And then we determine from that how much do you need to spend? What's it costing you for a lead? What's it costing to convert a lead into a patient, ultimately? And once we know that, then you can set appropriate investment amounts based on your strategy. And one of the things I talk to people I work with about, and very, very passionate about it, are the results. And really, results are the only thing that matter in marketing. I think we spend a lot of time generally doing things that don't always work. And there's that famous quote that 50% of my marketing works, I just don't know which 50% it is. Everything that you do should be tracked and should be trackable. And what we're talking about here, it is very easily tracked. You have very systematic reporting tools through Facebook that tell you how much you're spending, and then ultimately we can determine what the results are. But really, results are the only thing that matter in marketing. And if it's not generating measurable results, quit spending money on it. And then the other thing I see is doctors get sold a lot of stuff. And whether it's mobile apps or AdWords services or SEO services or big websites or whatever it is, we get hooked on tools. We get hooked on the idea that this next tool or tactic is going to be the thing that brings in a ton of clients. Maybe it's even Facebook, but unless you have a solid strategy, then the tactics are never going to work. And so what we're talking about today is strategy we're talking a little bit about tactics, but mainly strategy. And I want you to quit worrying about what tools you're using, whether you have the best website or the worst website. Honestly, it doesn't matter right now. Let's focus on a strategy you can start implementing so you can actually make money. And within that strategy, I want to touch a little bit on direct marketing principles. So back in the 1930s, during the Great Depression, Claude Hopkins wrote an incredible book called Scientific Advertising. And it lays forth direct marketing principles that still apply today. And the bottom line is, what we're trying to do is the right message to the right market through the right media. So today we're focusing specifically on Facebook. And so we're not going to talk as much about the message, but we are going to talk about the right market. And we're going to focus on the media being Facebook. And the reason that's important is because Facebook does work well for certain audiences and not for others. So if you are, let's say, a practitioner who is focusing on neuropathy, and that's generally in people that are 65 and older, that's who you're trying to reach, Facebook is not going to be a good tool for you. So we want to determine who you're going to be able to reach on Facebook, and then we'll talk a little bit about the messaging, but again, mostly the strategy. And so with direct marketing strategy, we want to convert people who are cold leads, so people who may have heard of you, may not have, maybe don't even know that what you do exists or that you have a solution to their problem. We want to convert them into warm leads and then ultimately convert warm leads into clients and patients through the right message, to the right audience, through the right media. So with that said, I'd like for you to start thinking about your marketing process in the form of a sales funnel. So a sales funnel is going to look somewhat like this. So at the top of your funnel is your cold traffic or your cold leads, people who may or may not know about you, like I said. And our goal is to send them through the funnel. I talk to a lot of doctors who run ads and just directly for an appointment. So here's what we do. If you're suffering from this, make an appointment. And I've definitely run those ads as well. And it's a very short lead funnel. But it's not as effective and not as cost effective a lot of the times as if we create a true sales funnel and use that sales funnel to build trust with the people who we're trying to reach. So, like I said, let's talk about what most doctors are doing with Facebook. So in the past, what used to work really well is you could take a newspaper ad out, and that newspaper ad could say something along the lines of, do you suffer from this condition? And then you describe some of it, and you have a discounted exam offer, and you're driving people into your clinic who have that condition. And it worked for a long time decently well with very good results. And the newspaper was seen as trusted, and advertisers in the newspaper are slightly more trusted than advertisers elsewhere. And so what a lot of clinics did with Facebook, and still do with Facebook, is just put out the same type of ad, a direct response or a direct offer ad that would be for a discounted exam, for example. And really on Facebook, that doesn't work. And I know it doesn't work because I've tested it quite a bit. I've tried to determine, you know, can we find the right mix of an image and an offer and an ad and copy that's actually going to drive people to make an appointment? And you can. But what I find is that it's a little more expensive per appointment, and the people that are coming in the door are not always the most qualified. And so I just am curious, if you've tried this approach, can you just type in the chat or in the question box and let me know that you've tried this, and just real quick let me know what your success has been with it. Okay, a couple people have tried it, a little bit of success, not a lot of success. That's pretty normal. So the next thing that we do, and I actually do this when we're starting out, when we start marketing a clinic just to get things going, is we run Facebook ads for free seminars. So how many of you have tried this approach, have tried to run ads to get people to attend your seminars? Okay, I see a couple people have done this as well. Good response, somewhat low attendance. I've seen that. Yeah, so usually when I start out helping a clinic just to get things rolling, we will do this approach and start running ads for a free seminar. This does work better than an ad that is geared towards that's geared towards making an appointment because you're giving them something. It's considered an indirect offer instead of a direct offer. So running a seminar ad can be effective, but what I find with Facebook a lot of the times is running just a seminar ad for a Facebook or to a Facebook audience. A lot of the times your show rate can be kind of low, and the people aren't necessarily talking to anybody, so they're a little flakier. And so we'll get into that in a second, but it's not always the most effective. And so the strategy we're going to talk about is a little bit longer sales process. It's a little bit bigger sales funnel, but it's what is working today to actually generate not only leads who register for a seminar or make an appointment, but much higher quality leads. So there's a couple things to note. Facebook is not perfect, and for most doctors, it's not the end-all be-all. Everybody wants Facebook to work, but it doesn't always work as effectively as you'd like, and it doesn't always work as effectively as other medium. It works very well on the coast. It works in larger markets where it's expensive for print, and or where people are just heavy Facebook users, and that tends to be in urban areas. So if you're in a smaller town or a rural area, Facebook is not the right tool for you. Also, it depends on your audience. If you're reaching, let's say, women who have thyroid conditions between the ages of 45 and 54, Facebook's going to work really well for you. If you're trying to reach men in their 60s with neuropathy, it's not going to work as well for you. So, again, it's not perfect. We are going to talk about a strategy that's working as well as it could, and this is kind of the ideal strategy. So this is our best Facebook ad strategy and process that we're using today, and that other doctors are starting to use around the country. That's working very well. So step one in this whole process, so we'll sum all this up later, but essentially think again about the idea of having cold traffic, warm traffic, and hot traffic. So people on Facebook, when you run an ad to them and they've never heard of you or entered their email address or called you or made an appointment or bought anything from you, is cold traffic. That's what we define cold traffic as. We want to first drive those people to a blog post. So blog post topics that are working really well would include why you're not losing weight, blogs talking about hormone imbalances, thyroid conditions, paleo, gluten-free diets, things like recipes, detox programs, informational articles that are truly informational, and you're educating your audience. So we're not talking about a blog post that, hey, we offer this service and this is really great and this is how it's helped this person make an appointment. That's an advertorial. Blog post, we want to be very informational. We want to be extremely helpful. And so it's fairly easy to find blog posts. If you're in practice right now, you can always start answering your most popular questions that you have from your patients and from your prospective patients, and find topics in your area that are very, very popular. And one of the things too with these blog posts is, if your web page is set up correctly and your blog post is set up correctly, like if you have a WordPress website or another platform, Facebook allows you to use conversion pixels to track certain things, and one of those things is a page view. So what this allows us to do is put a pixel in your blog post, for example, or on a page, so that if they visit that blog post, we know that that person's a visitor, and we start building our own audience using Facebook of visitors that we can retarget. So you've probably heard of retargeting. This is how it works: is we're tracking visitors to a website using these pixels. And then we can develop our own custom audiences of people who have visited our website. Step 2 is to develop a lead magnet. So what the heck's a lead magnet? A lead magnet is something that can be downloaded or sent in exchange for contact information. So if you're a Facebook user, which if you're on this webinar, you probably are, because the only way, one of the only places you could register for this was on Facebook. So a lead magnet is something that can be downloaded in exchange for information, like I said. So a lead magnet could be an ebook, a report, a guide, a video, a webinar like this one, a seminar. But what we're talking about here is something very simple. So I'm working with a doctor right now, and she has a great lead magnet we're putting together, and it's her top 4 supplements that she recommends to everyone, for example. And what that allows us to do is we can put a lead magnet out to people in her area that we're trying to reach. And when they put in their email address, not only are they putting in their email address so we get their contact information, but there's an opportunity there for them to buy something. And so it's a great lead magnet. So think about, in your practice, something simple that's a good lead magnet. So a lead magnet, like I said, could be a seminar, could be a webinar, but think even smaller than that. Think about a free guide or a tip sheet, something that could be downloaded and consumed very easily that answers a question for your audience. The other lead magnets that I really like that we're using today, you may have heard of a company called BodySite, a company called Living Matrix. So those are tools, software tools that functional medicine practitioners are using for their patients, but can also be great lead magnets, and I'll show you in a minute. But so, like, for example, with BodySite has, for example, 7-day detox programs or paleo diet programs. And what you can actually do is have somebody register on a landing page, which we'll talk about, a landing page that captures their information, and then you can set them up as an account user on BodySite or on Living Matrix, and you can actually give them something of value. So maybe it's only 7 days of a 30-day paleo plan, or a 7-day detox. And we tested that at the beginning of the year when that was very popular. And that worked really well. So it's something that you can give them. It really doesn't take much of your time to actually develop that, because companies have already developed it for you. And I'll go into some examples in a minute, but and I'll send out the links for that in an email so you have them. But it's just a creative way of generating email addresses. And ultimately, with your lead magnet, what we're trying to do is take people off of Facebook and create an email address out of that visitor that we can reach out to over and over and over again. They've given us permission at that point to email them. So again, run traffic to a blog post, or create a blog post, which we're going to run traffic to, and create a lead magnet. Step 3 is we need to deliver a lead magnet through a landing page. So a landing page is very similar to what you registered for this webinar using. So if you go back and look at that page, it's just a very simple page that lays out the information that you're going to present or what they're going to receive. And you can really take one action, which is either enter their email address or register or leave. And that's okay. But we don't want to confuse them with a whole other stuff to do. So a landing page has a singular focus or a singular action that we want someone to take. And developing a landing page is not hard. There's a lot of, it used to be, there's a lot of tools out there now that make this very easy. One I use is Leadpages. And then you can even use, like if you're running people to a seminar, systems such as Eventbrite, which are totally free. But an Eventbrite registration page is really a landing page. And then you can also create landing pages on your website. You can have a web developer do them. But there are simple tools out there, and I'll email those out as well. And then step 4 is we want to collect that information we receive into an email system. So I've talked to a lot of doctors that get hung up on the email system. I think, again, being in this area, I know a lot of people try to sell you on stuff. Tools like Infusionsoft and Conversion or ClickFunnels and other more robust CRM type email systems are great. They're expensive, they're very complex, and most doctors don't need them. So I usually recommend MailChimp, which is a very simple, standard mail client. You could actually use it and start for free and then upgrade, but it's more important to have a tool that you can actually work with rather than something with a whole lot of features that you're never going to use. And then once you have your email set up, depending on what your lead magnet is, we want to develop email autoresponders. So for example, if someone were to download an ebook, let's say you put an ebook out regarding thyroid conditions or hormone imbalances. When someone downloads that guide, your first autoresponder is thank you, kind of an introduction autoresponder, and it actually delivers that guide to them so that they can download it. Then I recommend doing 2 or 3 follow-ups after that where you want to find out, hey, did you read it? Do you have any questions? What are your thoughts? And then your final email, you really want to ask them to make an appointment. And so we see when someone downloads the guide, for example, they may read through it. You may have an offer at the end that says, you know, here's a discounted appointment or make an appointment or a free consultation or a free virtual consultation or whatever it is. And they don't often respond at that point. They respond when they get the email because it's been reinforced a couple of times. So email autoresponders are very critical in this process. And this isn't Facebook per se, but we're using Facebook again to take people, turn them into an email address, and use our email system to continue to develop trust, ultimately develop that lead into a cold lead into a warm lead again, and then into a patient. So step 6. So now we're kind of ready to get into the ad phase. So a lot of people start with, I'm going to run an ad, what do I run? Here, we already know we've created a blog post. We've created our landing page with our lead magnet. Now we're ready to run the ads. But before we do, we want to know who we're running these ads to. So when you're first starting out with Facebook ads, you likely don't have a large email list, or maybe you do, and you don't have people who have been pixeled as website visitors yet. So we need to create an audience inside of Facebook, and you do that inside of the Ads Manager or using Power Editor. I recommend, if you're starting, to start out using your Ads Manager. And your audience is you're able to target people based on their age and their gender and demographic information such as household net worth, income. You can target them on the interests. So are they interested in health and fitness, for example? You can target them on their behaviors. One of the behaviors that's found inside of Facebook's audience builder tool are health and wellness buyers. That's an excellent audience or a demographic set to use when you're building your audience. But you want to define the people. So let's go back and say your lead magnet is a guide for thyroid conditions. Most people who download that are going to be women. So you're probably going to want to set that at women who are between the ages of, let's say, 45 and 65. 45 and 54, however narrow you want to define it. You want to find people who are health and wellness buyers, people who have, you can actually ultimately find people who do have those conditions. You want to target that ad specifically. So one of the mistakes I see people make is they just run an ad to an entire area. And absolutely, you're going to get more response, a lower cost per conversion, but that's not necessarily the right people who you're trying to reach. And at the end of the day, you spend more money than if you dial in your audience to the people who you're specifically wanting to work with. And this is important because you don't want to get an email list of a bunch of jokers that you don't want showing up to your seminars, or you don't want making an appointment, because it's ultimately going to be a waste of time and a hassle for you one way or another. So we want to dial this in to people who we really, really want to work with. And then the other thing you can do, which is really cool, is if you do have an email list, you can create a custom audience using your email list. And you actually can download from your email system or even out of Gmail a CSV file that can be uploaded into Facebook to create a custom audience. And that custom audience it matches up the people on your email list to Facebook users. So let's say you send out an email promotion for a free seminar, and you're running an ad for a seminar. You can actually run that ad to people who are on your Facebook list, and they get to see that ad twice, or that offer twice. So a couple little tips and tricks there. And so now once you have your audience set, you're ready to create your Facebook ad. So when you create Facebook ads, you have campaigns, ad sets, and then ultimately your ads. So a campaign is your objective. So do you want to send people to your website? Are you looking for them to convert, which means are they checking out, or are they entering their information as a lead? That's a campaign. An ad set is based on the audience. So we're going to create a couple different ad sets. So first, you want to run an ad to your blog post. And this ad is going to be to people who are in your area, or if you have a nationwide presence, all around the country, but typically locally. People who are local, who ultimately want to, who are going to read your post. So what we do is once they click on your post, we know they're interested, and it's going to pixel them as a visitor. So now we know that person is interested in whatever that topic is. So again, going back to the example of your lead magnet is a thyroid download. You may want to have a blog post that talks about thyroid conditions. And then as you build this audience of people who visit your page, then you can start running ads for seminars and for webinars. And what happens is, as you warm up this audience, your cost per lead ends up going down. So a lead defined as someone who registers for a seminar or registers or even makes an appointment. We want to track all those when we're tracking our metrics. But eventually you're going to start running an ad to people who are warmer traffic and convert them into a seminar attendee. So what we're really doing here is, rather than just running the ad like a lot of us do a seminar, we're adding in this step, or two steps even, that warms people up, introduces them to you, starts to build trust, and in that way, when someone actually attends your seminar, that person's serious about being there. They're much more likely to make an appointment and much more likely to sign up for care. And so just imagine, I know a lot of you have done seminars in the past, and you've probably had someone who's totally disruptive. I know everyone's got a story about the drunk woman in the back, or the drunk women in the back, or the husband who's just totally belligerent. And it's completely disruptive and can destroy, not only can destroy your seminar and the mood of it, but is really demeaning to you. And I know it can be hurtful. It's just discouraging. And so with this process, if we're warming these people up ultimately, you may not get as many people to your event, but the people who are going to be at your event are going to be much higher quality. So rather than having 50 random strangers at your event, you'd much rather have 25 or 30 people there who know who you are, who at least feel like they know who you are and what you stand for and what you do, and are educated just a little bit so that they're there for a reason. And then step 8, which really isn't Facebook, like I said, but it's send a weekly email newsletter. So we've taken people off of Facebook, put them on our email list. Now what do we do with them? Every week, typically on Fridays, some people do it on Thursdays or Saturdays, but whatever day works for you. I like Fridays. Send out an email that is blog posts and recipes, testimonials, and your upcoming events, and you're not always asking your email list to attend an event or buy something from you. Send them out a recipe every week so that they're looking forward to it. I find that healthy recipes are one of the most opened blog posts or most opened portions of an email in all the emails we send out. So very critical. This continues to build trust, continues to warm up your audience, because everybody is somewhere different in their buying process or in their decision-making process. Some people, most people actually don't know what functional medicine is and what it can do for them, and they don't know that it's an alternative to traditional medicine that can actually be much more effective for them. And so think about these people not understanding exactly what it is you do, and we're educating, we're building trust, and ultimately we're turning them into a patient. All right, so let me show you a couple of examples, see if I can jump out here. Okay, so let's start with a blog post. So this is actually my website for my clinic. You're welcome to go take a look at it. And it's tylerwellnesscenter.com. And one post that we did recently was for an all-natural detox drink. This is something that's very simple, something that a lot of you may have made this morning. Really just honey, apple cider vinegar, maybe some cayenne, cinnamon, water. And then this is a blog post, and this is an example you can use to drive traffic. And then on this, we're actually able to pixel these visitors and then run ads later on for the seminars that we have coming up. The other thing we did at the bottom of this blog post is say, if you like this article, be sure to download my free guide. So if you click to download it, it's going to pop up a box, and you can actually put in your email address and download it. But in addition to the blog post and pixeling that person, we have another opportunity to capture their email list. And I can tell you, like, from this little thing at the bottom of a blog post, about 30% of the people who hit that end up entering their email address. So it's a free way, really, to build your email list, and very effective. Very effective in getting people not only on your list, but ultimately to your seminars. Here is BodySite, and this is something I talked about. So you can see I've pulled up the templates that they have, so you can kind of see behind the scenes. I actually do use BodySite in our clinic. So you can see here there's like the Core Restore 7-Day Detox Kit. So they could actually end up buying a kit from you for detox, and we're not going to necessarily get into this, but it's something that I call a tripwire. So let's say someone downloads or says, I want to do this detox, and you give them the detox plan, and the plan requires them buying a kit. Well, the kit's a few $100s, let's say. It's still expensive for a lot of people, and especially someone who doesn't know you, but definitely not as expensive as a wellness plan that's going to cost them thousands. So you may just want to say, hey, we're offering a discount, 50% off, let's say. to cover your cost on a detox kit. So join our detox program, get a detox kit 50% off. You don't make any money, but you've covered your cost and you've generated a lead. And someone who's purchased something for you, even at a discount, is much more likely to buy something from you in the future. So just some examples here. You can see, here's like one that says vegetarian diet, 7-day sample, or gluten-free diet, 7-day sample. There's also a paleo diet right here, 7-day sample. Those samples are great lead magnets. And so you can say, in your ad, something along the lines of interested in, trying a paleo diet, enter your information here and get access to our free 7-day paleo meal plan. And that ends up getting you their information, putting it into your system. You can actually register them on BodySite. And then BodySite, what's awesome, this little feature that I love, every morning it emails them their plan. So they're seeing your logo, they're seeing your name, they're getting an email from you every day. So it's automatically an autoresponder. So highly recommend BodySite. And again, I'll send out that link in an email after the webinar along with the replay. Here's Living Matrix, another one. And what we can do with Living Matrix is do an assessment. So with this process, a little bit different than BodySite, you can actually use Living Matrix for someone to get a free health assessment. So they enter the information, and it's going to give them a report of their critical areas. You actually are going to get a copy of that report, which you can use in your initial consultation or exam with them. And then they're in your system, and at that point, they already know, or they kind of know what's going on. They need you to interpret it for them and explain it to them. So they've already taken a major step towards making an appointment. So this is something you could give out at a seminar. This is something you could use for a Facebook ad. But an assessment makes a great lead magnet because, again, it's a step towards them making an appointment. All right. So another thing I want to show you is this. This is the guide that you saw on our website, actually at the bottom of the site, right here. Same guide is on a landing page. And again, there's literally nothing you can do on this page besides get your free report. And so for our clients, we'll help them create these guides that they can use for downloads. A lot of people we work with do it themselves as well, and then we can help them set up these landing pages. And what you can do with these landing pages, this one was created through Lead Pages. I'll send that link out to you as well as a tool that I recommend. But this, again, click on this, put in your email address. You actually get instant access to this guide. So when you click on it, you're able to download the guide right there. Pulls up, and you've got a guide to read. So very simple. This is 33 pages, but as you can see, it's a lot of information, but it's not a ton of words because as we get, it thins out, I guess, as we keep going. But a great guide that works for us to generate leads. And so that process is we actually run a Facebook ad to the page that I just showed you, to this landing page, and then it tracks the conversions. So that's an example of a lead magnet, an example of a landing page, and you would run an ad to this. So let me run back. Does anyone have any questions at this point? I can take a few minutes out and start answering some questions. Okay, so how much should I budget to spend on Facebook ads? And this is a question I get all the time, and a great question. Again, it depends on your goals, and it depends on a lot of factors, which I know you don't want to hear that, but I'm going to give you a couple of examples. So just the other day, I ran an ad for a doctor for Facebook, and it was for a seminar, and we're currently working on implementing this full strategy, and we ran an ad to cold traffic in her area. So people who may or may not have known about her, we're not sure. But we spent $278 and some change on a Facebook ad, and we actually got 20 registrations for her event. Simple seminar at her office, lunchtime, hors d'oeuvres, and she did pretty well. Out of that, she ended up scheduling, I believe, 6 appointments out of the people who showed up. And so ultimately, let's say it was a $300 spend. It cost her $50 per appointment, and now she has 5 opportunities or 6 opportunities, to sell people ultimately on her services. So just a few $100 spend could result in $10,000 to $15,000 of revenue for her, and so a great return. I've also worked, like in my own clinic, implementing this strategy. What we see is we spend about $500 per seminar, marketing the seminar, and we'll get somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 35 registrations for each seminar we do. And we typically have a very high show rate because we have staff who's calling them right before the event, confirming, making sure they're going to be there. We have a high show rate and a pretty high scheduling rate. And again, we're spending roughly $500 on an ad, but we're sending out emails and doing some of the other tactics I showed you. So again, it depends. It depends a lot on your market. It depends on what your cost per lead is. How well your Facebook ad is working for you, how well your landing page is working for you, what's your conversion rate, how much is it costing you to convert someone into an appointment, and ultimately how many people you're getting there, how many appointments you're setting, and how many people you're ultimately signing up for care. So going back to our goals, you want it to be a return, but this is what I'd recommend if you're just starting out. So if you're just starting out with Facebook ads, to test it, run an ad in your area to a seminar page. So like we talked about earlier, it's not as effective as this, but it is still moderately effective. You just need to expect a little bit higher cost per lead. Start there while you're building your blog post, while you're building your lead magnet, while you're building your landing pages. Get started running a seminar ad. And start testing your cost for registration. With a lot of doctors in most urban areas, we'll see a cost for registration somewhere between $20 and $25 a registration. So use that as a benchmark to see how well your ad's working. If you're registering people for your seminar at $5 per registration, you're seriously kicking butt. If it's $50 a registration, or you're not getting people registering at all, something's wrong with your ad, or your landing page, or your topic, or the copy. So those are things you need to look at. But again, it differs for every doctor, for every market, honestly down to every topic. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Any other questions right now? How long does it take to put this together? Okay, that's another great question. It can take, honestly, it really just depends on how much time you want to put into it and how much staff you have or who's helping you. Developing a lead magnet can just take an hour or two if you have something very simple, which I recommend to start, or to develop a whole guide or a book, of course, takes as long as you want to put into it. For people starting out developing landing pages, it can absolutely take quite a bit of time to really understand the tools, learn it. And so, yeah, your first time you do this could take, I don't know, 20 hours of time or however much of your time to create a blog post and create the lead magnet, create a landing page. It can really take as long as you want, but my recommendation is keep it simple. Start with something very simple you can execute and set a deadline of 2 weeks from now, let's say, to have everything in place. But until that time, start running an ad to a seminar, like I said, because it's something you can do now to start generating leads today. And as you implement this process, then you're developing a system that's working for you all the time, even while you're sleeping. Okay. So I know, that's a great lead-in actually to this slide. So I know a lot of you probably may like this. Maybe it's confusing to you. That's okay. This is not as easy, I guess, as running a newspaper ad in a newspaper and driving people into your practice, or running an ad in a magazine. But ultimately, it's much more cost-effective, and you're generating better quality leads if you do this right. But a lot of you would rather focus on your practice, and you might need some help, and that's totally okay. So I do help people get these sales funnels, implemented in their practice, and continue to implement them every month. And so if you do need help, I do offer, if you have, let's say you have staff who you just need some help getting this going, or they need some training, I offer coaching. I actually help coach people through this process, work on blog posts to develop, lead magnets to develop, how the systems integrate together, or if you already have a system, how they can use it, or you can use it, or your staff can use it to get the most bang for your buck, to get the absolute most out of your marketing. So that I do hands-on as well, but this is just coaching, and I can coach you through it. The other thing that we offer is full service implementation. So depending on what your needs are, I can help you from your strategy, and that's not just Facebook ads. That's determining the right message, the right market, the right media for your practice to help you generate leads. So that includes strategy, website development, social media, copywriting, blogging, lead magnet creation, ad development, which is ultimately managing your marketing for you. And that may be you, and you may need help with that, and I'd love to have a conversation with you about that. And as a thank you for being on this webinar, the next step really is for a strategy session. What I like to do with people, and just to give you a little more value one-on-one than just this webinar, is actually have a strategy session. So in the strategy session, what I want to do, or want to offer you, is an hour of time, and it says 30 minutes on the slide, but for you guys, I want to offer you an hour of time, and during that call, or FaceTime or Skype, whatever you want to do, have a virtual consultation. And what I want to go through specifically is, what are you doing now? Let's talk about what you're doing now, what's working for you, what's not working for you, where you might need help, what strategy may work best for you, some things that you can do differently. One of the things in these strategy sessions I find a lot of the times with doctors who are in practice is that there's a lot you can probably cut out that's not working for you, things that you're spending money on that are not generating results, and we can usually identify those very quickly. And so I'd love to do that with you. So again, a free hour of my time, and at the end of that, if you feel like you need help, or you'd like me to help you, I'd love to talk more about that. But this strategy session is really a time to go through what you're doing, what's working, what's not working, what you can do better, a strategy you can implement, and things that you can cut out and quit spending money on, and ultimately save you money from things that are not working. Again, marketing is all about results, and I want to see you get results, and you do amazing work for your patients. And I love what I do because I can help educate people on what you do, and ultimately give you an opportunity to help a ton of people. So I'd love to talk with you. If you're interested in doing a strategy session, just shoot me an email, lee@leebales.com, and I'll send an email out about this as well. You can also visit functionalmedicinemarketing.com, and there's a place down there at the bottom of the page where you can request a free strategy session. But I'd love to talk to you one-on-one and go through specifically what you need in depth. And again, deliver value. This is not a sales call. This is a time where we can actually talk about what's going on in your practice and see what we can do to help. I appreciate your time on the webinar, and one final chance here for Q&A. I'll wait for a second, see if anybody else has any questions. All right, I don't see any questions. Again, if you do have questions, please feel free to email me, lee@leebells.com. I'd love to have a strategy session with you, give you an hour of time and see where we go from there. But hope to talk to a lot of you in the future, and have an awesome day. And again, really appreciate you being on the webinar. Hope it helped. Hope there's something that you found here that you can take out and implement today. Have an awesome Tuesday, and I'll talk to you soon.